Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am caking a two-tiered Alice in Wonderland cake. I'm starting with my bottom tier, which is a 7-inch round, and I layer it, crumb coat it, and frost it as usual. Now I'm going to pop this in the refrigerator while I get to working on my top tier. So I do the same thing with this tier. It is 5-inch cake rounds and buttercream, and I'm gonna crumb coat this and pop it in the refrigerator because I want it nice and cold for my carving. So I carved this cake on like a slope, an angle, because it's the Mad Hatter's hat and it's a bit narrower at the bottom and a bit wider at the top. So I carve ever so slowly because you can always carve more, but it's hard to put it back once it's off. So gently soften that edge, take your time with this. Once I am satisfied with my carving, I go in, crumb coat that, and I build up that top edge a bit more because I wanted it a bit wider at the top. Now I had to go in and trim off that cake board. I definitely need the cake board because this will support the top tier, but I didn't want it sticking out too much, so I just used an X-Acto knife, trimmed that off, and covered my cake in fondant. I do have a video on how to panel fondant. You can find that if you click here. Go ahead and check that out. It's definitely a method that works best for me. The traditional way of draping fondant, I can't do it. So here I'm going in with some edible paint. So I have some food gel that I diluted with some food grade alcohol, and I am literally just painting streaks in different shades of green along the cake. And you kind of want to build the streaks up. So I painted some, let it dry, and painted some more. So it added a bit of depth. So now I'm going in with some vegetable shortening and a crap ton of black and white squares. Like, this literally took forever. I sped it up, but I'm sure there's a quicker process and way to do this. If you have any suggestions, please drop down in the comments and let me know. After checkering my board, I move on to my accessories. So these are the playing cards that I'm making now with a piece of rolled out fondant, maybe a 1/16 of an inch thick. And I am literally cutting rectangles out of it. I'm also going to add some hearts. So these are plunger cutters, and I'm using them to cut out hearts of my red fondant and make the rectangles look like playing cards, because the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland had playing cards as like her minion soldier thingies. Speaking of the Queen of Hearts, she was my absolute favorite character in Alice in Wonderland. Don't judge me. I know that says a lot about who I am on the inside, but she absolutely was. Drop down in the comments though, let me know who your favorite character was in Alice in Wonderland. And don't shame me too much, okay? She was mean, but listen, she had to keep her court in order, okay? On to the mushroom. So I've created a cone shape with some white fondant by flattening one end and pointing the other. And I'm gonna take my red fondant and create a mushroom cap. Kind of the same cone shape, but I put a fingerprint indent at the bottom. I'm adding some texture with my X-Acto knife. And I'm gonna take that dried spaghetti there, stick it through the bottom of the mushroom stem, wet it with some water, and add the mushroom cap. So it sounds complicated, but it's pretty easy. We are starting with the pocket watch. So this is a thicker piece of maybe 1/8 of an inch of gold yellow fondant, and I'm cutting out circles within circles. And I'm going to paint these gold because who doesn't want a gold pocket watch? Speaking of gold, this is wedding gold from the Sugar Art, and I am dry brushing it onto my circles. If you would like this gold because it covers so well, go ahead and head down to the description box, click on the link for the Sugar Art. You can save 15% on your luster dusts and more using my code ChynaB15. So I have an edible image here for this pocket watch. I've literally Googled pocket watch face and had it printed at my local cake supply store. And I just glued that on with a bit of vegetable shortening, and there you have it, the pocket watch. These are flower plunger cutters and like a embosser flower set that I found on Amazon, and I'm just gonna make flowers to kind of sprinkle around as accents. Moving on to the door to Wonderland, this is an ivory brown colored piece of fondant that I am just marking up with a fondant tool to look similar to a door. I do have an edible image of the doorknob that you will see in a bit, but I just painted this with some ivory food gel, again diluted with some food grade alcohol. I had these images printed at my local cake supply store as well, so it's pretty simple. I did kind of do some filigree border around the name here. I'll have that mold linked as well in the description box. I'm going in with the same gold from the Sugar Art and painting it to make it look nice and fancy. Here I'm ready to stack my cake, so I used a 4-inch cake board to kind of mark where I wanted the straws to sit. These straws will support my top tier. I definitely do not want it to sink into the bottom tier. And I added a dowel because this cake will be traveling and I didn't want the cakes to slide during transport. Moving on to the brim of the Mad Hatter's hat, I added a 1-inch wide piece of fondant to the top of my bottom tier for the brim, trimmed it up a bit, and I added some like a band around the base so it looked more like a hat. I also wanted this brim to stand up a bit and not be so flat, so I added some napkins on the side. So while my cake was in the fridge, that kind of set up and stayed that way. It looks weird now, but it'll help prop that up until the fondant's dry. And I'm going to continue to add accessories onto this cake with water and piping gel. So for the heavier accessories like this watch, I used water. For the playing cards, I used piping gel and the flowers as well. I liked how this cake turned out. Alice in Wonderland was one of my favorite movies growing up. If you like this cake as much as I did, go ahead and hit the like button. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, and commenting, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.